for the forms you need. The one I have here covers aviation and space to banking and financing. So, as you can tell, they have every topic under the sun. Another set that would also be useful is more on federal practice. They also break theirs out by rule and cover a number of topics. And then they also have an index that comes with theirs, so you can locate a book that would be useful. Another thing that will really help you ring the judge's bell is if you put the argument that you learned from the books we just showed you into its proper form. And we've already discussed that some with regard to American Jurisprudence, Pleadings, and Practice, where you can get sample forms for all types of stuff. But in order to get proper procedural forms for federal courts, there are some more specific places that you can go. I have here sitting next to me federal procedural forms from Lawyers Cooperative, arranged by topic and accompanied by a general index. And you could go to the index and look up the form that you need. As you can tell, it covers a broad range of topics. This one starts off with telecommunications and goes to trademarks. There's a whole set of volumes, just like Amateur Pleadings and Practice. Another good place to go is Bender's Federal Practice Forms, sitting here on the end. Again, they break them out by rules, and so if you find the rule, then you can go to the form book, look under there, and go straight to the form, find the one that meets your requirements, and fill in the blanks, basically, and you're ready to take it in and file it in court. For those of you who get as far as the appeal process, Bender's Federal Practice Forms also has federal appellate forms. Suppose, for example, that you need to file a motion for an extension of time in which to file your brief, or if you like to motion the court to supplement the record because you noticed that the district court clerk didn't file a proper record for the case. Those types of forms would be in there. In my case, I need to substitute a party. I have a government official being sued in his official capacity, and the old one is no longer involved in the case, and so the rules state that the new one should be automatically substituted. Well, my opponents are not looking at it like that, and so I needed a form that showed me how to substitute parties. I went to the Bender's Federal Practice Forms, looked one up, and it's going to be in proper form as well as citing the proper rule. Let's talk about some of the substantive primary sources of law for federal courts. One of the ways that you can find out what that is, of course, is by going to the United States Code. There are two private publishers of the code that include the annotations and additional things that would help you locate law related to the law that you're interested in, and that would be United States Code Service, United States Code Annotated. Each of those is a set of books that's published by a different publisher and are regularly cited by the courts as a primary source of law. Of course, they're publishing United States law without change, and then just adding research aids to it. And I have some samples here. One of the fastest ways you can zero in on exactly what topic it is that you're interested in. Suppose, for example, that you wanted to learn what was involved in the Federal Tort Claims Act, and whether or not you could sue a government official for an intentional tort that he committed while he was acting in his capacity as a United States official. What you would do is just go to the index and look under Federal Tort Claims Act, and it'll send you to the section of the United States Code that deals exactly with that. The other thing that ties directly in with that is the Code of Federal Regulations. They've set those up so that once you find the statute in United States Code that applies, then all you need to do is cross over to the CFR. The CFR is set up in such a way that it starts off with Title 26. For example, if you're dealing with the IRS, it starts off with the title, and then the abbreviation will be CFR, and then it'll have the section that you're dealing with, and that section is numbered the same way as the statute that you're dealing with. The only difference is that you're in the Code of Federal Regulations instead of in the statute itself. So it's pretty easy to cross over from the set of books called United States Code and then cross that over to the Code of Federal Regulations and find out how the regulations discuss the way the agency is going to enforce that law. Other sources are federal rules decisions. As I discussed earlier, if you went to the court rules in the United States Code, and then from there, underneath those are going to be annotations, and they're going to cite to FRD. With each annotation, most of them will have an FRD site, which is Federal Rules Decisions. That is a set of books that I have here, volume 135, just representing the entire set. And in that, all they record are decisions made by federal courts with regard to rules. And so you can go there and you can learn more about your rule. Another source is West Bankruptcy Reporter. What they did was they collected all the district and appellate court decisions that were made all across the nation with regard to bankruptcy, put them in one set of volumes of books, and it's there that you can look up specific things about bankruptcy. In fact, that goes up to the Supreme Court too, that they put there. So they've done you a favor and just collected them into one set. Another source of primary law is the Federal Supplement, which is where all of the federal district court decisions are recorded. Now, federal district court decisions do not have very much of a priority when it comes to are they controlling decision. There's several reasons that you would want to read a district court decision. One, if you could find district court decisions from the court that you are in, then that will have some effect with them. Secondly, it can be informative to the court. If you're in a different court than the place where the district court decision that you're using came from, it can just be instructive to the district court that you're in as to the reasoning that was followed in other cases. Another good reason for reading district court decisions as recorded in Federal Supplement are that it will show you the thinking of a judge that goes into writing a decision. It will also show you all of the controlling cases in that judge's opinion that apply to that case. In other words, he's in effect wrote a little mini treatise with regard to that particular fact pattern. So from there, you might find out about Supreme or appellate court decisions that you never knew about before. And these judges, they're professionals, and that's what they spend all day doing, is writing decisions and researching law. And so when you read a district court decision, you're going to get a better understanding of whatever law it is that you're involved in. Then the next set of volumes, called Federal Reporter, second series, and now they're up to third series also, is where they record all the appellate court decisions from the federal appellate courts across the country. Now these decisions are especially controlling upon both the district courts and the circuit courts in the circuit that you're in. So if you're in, like I'm in the 10th Circuit, if I want to influence a judge, I need to cite primarily 10th Circuit cases, because that is what's going to ring their bell. That's what they're going to recognize. If I'm in the appellate court and I'm citing 10th Circuit cases there, a lot of those judges are going to go, oh yeah, we worked on that case. He's right. That is something that does apply here. Whereas if you go off trying to cite from another circuit, then they're going to have to put some extra thinking into it, go read the case themselves, or send their clerk down to do it, and it's just not as controlling. They've held that that they will, if they read a case that's from another circuit and say, yeah, we would have arrived at that same decision ourselves, then they can use that as precedent in their circuit. So then that brings us to the United States Supreme Court reports. Here we have the lawyer's edition of that, which is published by Lawyers Cooperative. There are two other volumes that record the exact same cases, but with different research helps. The lawyer's edition breaks things out like a lawyer would expect to see it, like they think that it would be helpful for a lawyer, and they have a little bit different numbering system. The abbreviation for the lawyer's edition is capital L, capital E, period 2D, and with the volume preceding it and following it would be the page number that the case starts on. United States Supreme Court reports is the abbreviated U period S period, both caps, preceded by the volume and